Former Beatle Paul McCartney has recently launched a lawsuit against Sony/ATV in an attempt to reclaim his copyright ownership on some of the Beatles' most popular songs, including Love Me Do, I Wanna Hold Your Hand, Let It Be, and All You Need Is Love. John Lennon and Paul McCartney mostly penned the songs in question. McCartney has decided to use the United States Copyrights Act copyright termination provision, allowing authors to reclaim copyright ownership after a specified time. Let's take a look at how McCartney restored all of his rights and what actually triggered this problem. Profitable enterprise. Michael Jackson played an important part in this case. Jackson purchased the music publishing company ATV for $47.5 million in 1985. ATV controlled the copyright to practically the entire Beatles catalog at the time. This deal was ironically proposed by McCartney himself. According to McCartney, investing in music copyright ownership would be a profitable business. Jackson put an estimated $50 million into the company, which resulted in an unmistakable financial success. After obtaining significant royalties, he had sold half of the rights to Sony for $90 million. The joint venture between Sony and ATV Music grew to become one of the world's largest music publishers. Later in the process, Sony/ATV purchased Michael Jackson's estate's remaining rights to the iconic Beatles tunes. McCartney is now using the U.S. Copyright Act to reclaim ownership of his tunes. And according to the Act, songs created before 1978 are restricted for a period of 56 years before the rights can be reclaimed. Because McCartney and Lennon wrote the songs between 1962 and 1971, the copyright on the Beatles' debut song, Love Me Do, would have to be transferred to the original authors in 2018. McCartney also hopes to obtain a declarative judgment stating that exercising termination rights does not constitute a breach of contract. So, publishing rights are essentially the right to exploit a song in any way desired, such as by selling a license to use the music in a movie, television show, or video game. Most of McCartney's work with the Beatles was credited to Lennon-McCartney. However, as the BBC pointed out, the singers lost their publishing rights in the 1960s when ATV, the publishing company they had created with the other Beatles, and their manager and the outside investors, was sold without their knowledge. And that's where Michael Jackson comes in. And at some point, McCartney began a conversation with Jackson regarding the music publishing business. When Michael said to Paul, "Maybe someday I'll buy your tunes," Paul laughed at him. "Maybe someday I'll buy your songs," he exclaimed. "Great, good joke." Michael was entirely serious. Paul would look back on their chat and wish he hadn't. Later on, he would remark things like, "I gave him a lot of free advice. And what more do you know? When a fish swims into the net, it does so by opening its mouth." In point of fact, Jackson ended up purchasing ATV for $47.5 million in 1985 after McCartney's attempt to purchase it for $20 million from Leno's widow, Yoko Ono, was unsuccessful, and it was clear that McCartney was unhappy. The registration letter submitted by McCartney represents an effort to reclaim the rug. However, what exactly is a termination notice? According to Billboard's explanation, in order to reclaim publishing ownership of a song, a songwriter must file with the U.S. Copyright Office terminating the publishing anywhere from 2 to 10 years before the 56-year elapse. The 56-year waiting period on many of the songs that Paul McCartney wants back won't expire until 2025, which is the same year that the author of When I'm 64 would turn the age of 83. It is also important to keep in mind that Paul McCartney is only interested in obtaining his portion of the publication rights in the United States, not John Lennon's or anybody else's. And according to a source who spoke to Billboard on the condition of the anonymity, only the McCartney half of the Lennon-McCartney songs are eligible for termination, and only for the United States. Those Beatles songs are still owned by Sony/ATV across the rest of the world. So what are your thoughts on today's video? Are you happy to see Paul taking action? Please let us know in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so already, Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our incredible videos. Keep an eye out for the next video. Thanks for watching and diving with the Yellow Submarine. Bye for now.